I don't think you guys understand how crazy you have to be to actually believe that he was gonna make America great again.
Let's start with this lie that America is the greatest country in the world. It's the greatest country if you're a billionaire.
America is not the greatest country in the world.
What exactly is great about America right now?
On average, we lose 7 kids per day to gun violence. We're ranked 33rd in infant mortality. We lose 24 moms for every 1,000 that gives birth, which is 3 times higher than Canada, Germany, or Finland. And that's just white moms.
We're told to worship this flag, stand for it, make socks made out of it, overalls made out of it, hats, pet bald eagles. What have we done?
I am here with a little bit of information for those of you who live under a rock, are from another country, or just choosing to stay ignorant.
Today is a hard day for many of us, not because we do not love this country, but because we understand that love without accountability is not love at all.
We're not the big dogs. We don't have the clout that we once had. We aren't even statistically on top of anything, education or anything anymore.
American is a shithole.
For anyone who doesn't live in America, I'm going to give you another example of how the healthcare system here is fucking stupid.
Some Americans are going to hate me for saying this, but the U.S. is not the best country in the world.
There, I said it. Look, I love my country, but I think we all can agree at this point that American is unrecognizable.
I was thinking about this. We are the richest country on the planet, one of the richest countries. Why does it look like ass?
I fucking hate America.
I'm embarrassed to be an American.
They say America is the greatest country in the world, but greatest at what exactly? Greatest at medical debt? Greatest at school shootings? Greatest at pretending everything's fine while millions live paycheck to paycheck in a system built on vibes and denial? You're told to be proud, to salute, to chant slogans like "They're spells that make rent affordable and healthcare free." But here's the truth. America isn't great. It's just loud. It's a country where billionaires launch themselves into space while teachers buy their own supplies. Where freedom means choosing between insulin and groceries. Where opportunity means working 3 jobs and still living in your car. This isn't cynicism, it's observation. And if you're tired of being gaslit by flags and fireworks, you're not unpatriotic. You're just awake.
I was thinking about this. We are the richest country on the planet, one of the richest countries. Why does it look like ass? Really think about that for a second. When you're driving, if you're not in Florida or California or the coast of Oregon or whatever, it's this place looks like shit. And we have so much money. I'm thinking of Europe and Japan and all the architecture across the world and how beautiful it looks. Why don't we have rose gold fucking buildings and why does the Kmart's and all of the stores look like shit? I don't know. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm closing my eyes and I can imagine what a country, look at China, Shanghai, the coast, all those videos you see. That's no joke, stunning, beautiful, high tech. You would think America would look like that with the amount of money that we have, but it just looks like, ugh, you know what I mean?
I fucking hate America. We are the most money-hungry ass country in all of the universe. I just got a fucking citation today for parking at the fucking school I attend. No, I'm not spending $300 for a fucking parking pass when I already gotta spend almost 30 grand to go to the shit. It is so infuriating because they have no reason to do that. They just do it because this is America and you have to pay for everything here. Sorry for my outburst. I was having a good ass day and that just pissed me off. You're Lauren, did you not know that you had to pay? Look, I go to the fucking gym, okay? And there was no parking near the goddamn gym, nowhere to park. So I parked in this lot. And I guess you're not allowed to park in the lot. But where am I supposed to park? Why can't we have shit free? We're already paying tuition. We should at least be able to park at the fucking shit. Bro, I hope this revolution starts now. And we blow up capitalism. Because I'm irritated. We walk outside without spending $100+. Damn.
For anyone who doesn't live in America, I'm going to give you another example of how the healthcare system here is fucking stupid. So I got a bill today, right? And it's for $149. And I'm well, the only thing that I did in October was get a COVID test. And I'm I thought COVID tests were free if you had insurance. So I call, and the lady is well, the place you went probably took your insurance, but if they send your COVID test somewhere and that place that they sent it doesn't take your insurance, then you're going to get charged. How the fuck am I supposed to know if the lab that my test is sent to takes my insurance or not. Like, what bullshit is this? And on top of this, they sent me a fucking check for $100 because apparently they can't send this check to pay half of it. They paid $100 towards this COVID test, but I have to send the check to the place.
Some Americans are going to hate me for saying this, but the US is not the best country in the world. In fact, there is no best country in the world. Every country, every culture has their way of doing things and living life that works for them. And every person has different preferences on how they want to live their life. Growing up in the US, I feel like it was really drilled into us that it is the best country. We say the Pledge of Allegiance at school every day. We play the national anthem all the time. Everyone's flying their American flags. And there's this rhetoric that, of course, people are immigrating here because why would they want to live anywhere else? And then when I tell some people I want to move abroad, they get offended. It's like they can't understand why I would want to experience a different culture and see other parts of the world. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for having pride and patriotism in your country, and I think the US is a great place to live. But when that pride becomes too much, turns into nationalism, that can be dangerous. And it's important to acknowledge that other cultures and other countries are great too. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
We made it to Morro Bay. It is so pretty here. For lunch, we went to McDonald's at our truck stop, and I got the fish fillet combo. And I noticed that the fillet of fish is smaller than it once was, and they put such a small amount of tartar sauce on it that not one little bit dripped on my shirt, which you gotta get some of that on your shirt to be fully baptized, So it wasn't the best experience.
I'm just sitting here thinking, why are we paying a convenience fee to pay our rent online? If I'm paying you on time, why are you charging me a convenience fee? I don't give a fuck if it's $1, $20, $30, $50, or $100. Why are you charging me to pay my rent online, using my debit card to pay my rent online on time? Why?
I don't think you guys understand how crazy you have to be to actually believe that he was gonna make America great again. Because if we're talking modern history, all the good years were the Democrats' years. If we're talking way back then when America...
Okay, if what I'm about to say makes you uncomfortable, you need to hear it. Newsroom style. America is not the greatest country in the world. In every single major category, we are ranked lower than most other free countries. We're ranked 42nd in life expectancy. On average, we lose 7 kids per day to gun violence. We're ranked 33rd in infant mortality. We lose 24 moms for every 1,000 that gives birth, which is 3 times higher than Canada, Germany, or Finland. And that's just white moms. We have a poverty rate of 18% when the average is 11% across the world. We are the 27th in median household income. We import more than we export, running us a $1 trillion deficit annually. We rank 24th in reading, 26th in math, and 25th in science on the last PISA test. And the average American owes $38,000 in student loans. So no, we are not the greatest country in the world. We spend the most, yet die younger. We have more moms and babies dying, more poor people, less job participation, and no trade surplus. Our greatness is borrowed, and we are overdue on paying it back.
Let's start with this lie that America is the greatest country in the world. It's the greatest country if you're a billionaire, but it's not the greatest country if you're a U.S. citizen who just regularly want to go to work. Because now the orange turd had just signed an executive order that makes being homeless a criminal, and also mental illness is a criminal, and you go to these concentration camps and you might die there. That's what they are, work camps. So these privatized prison systems making money off your suffering. That's Christian. The more you suffer, the more you get closer to God. I don't understand it. I'm out. But my point is this: if we had living wages, affordable housing, we wouldn't be homeless. But who has all the majority of the money? That 88 people who who was standing on that stage during the inauguration? Bezos spending $100 million on some wedding?
What exactly is great about America right now? I think that's a very fair question. Since we're little, we say we're the greatest, we're the best in the entire universe. Out of everything that God created, we're told to worship this flag, stand for it, make socks made out of it, overalls made out of it, hats, pet bald eagles. What have we done? We brought black people over here as slaves. We kept them as slaves. We lynched them. We forced them to pick our cotton. Women didn't have rights. They had to stay in abusive relationships until the early 1900s. Black people couldn't vote until, what, the 1960s? We had internment camps for Asian Americans. We put a nuclear bomb in Japan. We went to Afghanistan during Bush and just did whatever the hell we wanted because we're America. 3 people have as much wealth as half of the country. We have 1.9 million people in prison right now. More than anywhere in the entire world. We have 11% of our population that live in poverty. We have sepsis rates in places like Texas that are going up because we tell women what they can do with their body. We're so pro-life that we have over 40,000 people a year die from shootings. What exactly is great about America? I'm sorry. I asked that the wrong way. If you're not a straight white Christian, what is great about America? Maybe that's how you should be looking at that question. You have yourself a good day.
America is not what it once was. I've got some bad news for people who don't travel internationally. The world hates us, okay? We're not the big dog. We don't have the clout that we once had. We aren't even like statistically on top of anything, education or anything anymore. And I've traveled a lot internationally. Over COVID, obviously, I stopped. And there's always been an underlying tone that America is dangerous. But, you know, we run Hollywood, so a lot of the media that is consumed by people in other countries is still American. However, I'm on my first international trip since COVID, and it has gotten worse. I have heard from every nationality that America is dangerous, but I arrived in Indonesia, which is a country that, you know, a lot of people aim to get out of and go to America. And the first thing that my taxi driver says to me is that he's afraid of America because of all the poppy seeds that we're taking and all the jazz powder that people are using. And he's convinced that people are walking around the US like zombies. Because that's what's on the internet. That's what these people are seeing. And I think it's a really big lesson if you are sheltered and are not leaving the US. We don't got it. Like, we don't got it anymore. People don't want to live in America. People aren't eager to live in America. When I was in Europe, a lot of the kids said their parents wouldn't let them go to America because they were afraid they were going to get popped by the police. Like, those are the fears. The only fear that Americans have when their children travel overseas is that they're going to be, like in the movie Taken, which is a very small possibility. And they just use that as a fear. I don't even, like, that's not really even a founded fear. People aren't taking Americans when we go, because you know how big of a hell case they would raise if some little white girl went missing? That's not what's happening. But what is happening is other people from other nations are going to America and bad things are happening to them. So, just a reminder, we ain't shit. We ain't shit.
American is a shithole. There, I said it. Look, I love my country, but I think we all can agree at this point that American is unrecognizable. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't think nobody knows what's going on. Politics is a fucking episode out of South Park. Nothing they say is truthful, let alone it's all amusing. Used to be a time where you worked at your 9-to-5 job and you saved up a little money for family vacation at the end of the year. Shit, you can't fucking go on vacation nowhere. The vacation is your goddamn backyard. Groceries is crazy. Not to mention the fucking groceries that we do have is poison. Walk down aisle to aisle to aisle to aisle. It is a death and death decision. Nothing is organic. Everything smells, look, and tastes like shit. Family, oh shit, family don't exist no more. Kids are the most disrespectful man shit. They teach our kids nothing in school. America is over 30th in mathematics in the world. That means there's over 30 other countries in the world that is better and smarter than our fucking kids. Just the way of living right now is just terrible, man. American, this is not a dream. You know they say this is an American dream. This shit ain't no American dream. The dream is for you to come over here. There's opportunities. Oh boy, there's opportunities. Oh, for sure. You can be okay. But expect, if you go that route, you're going to be working 9 to motherfucking 9. You ain't going to have no breaks. It is hustle day in and day out, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, week by week, month, year by year. It's nothing enjoyable about that shit.
Well, good afternoon, my talklings. I am here with a little bit of information for those of you who live under a rock, are from another country, or just choosing to stay ignorant. Currently in California, the Pacific Palisades fire is raging, and people are running in the streets with their animals and their prized possessions, trying to stay alive, and the media is in their face with cameras and microphones while they are running, asking them how they feel about that. Keep in mind, their fire hydrants are also basically empty. And these people are frightened, and now seems like a good time for an interview. Also, in Missouri, there is a bounty bill being put out there where they are proposing to offer a $1,000 bounty for anyone who turns in a illegal immigrant. We have the worst healthcare, where it costs thousands of dollars to take an ambulance or afford medication, and the things that could fix that or cure us, the government is suppressing because they don't want us to not be at the mercy of Big Pharma or paying them thousands of dollars to stay alive. We can't afford our groceries, and even with multiple jobs, we can't afford to live right now. Women are second-class citizens who basically have no rights and are being invalidated in every way imaginable. We have unseasonable weather right now, but our, president doesn't believe in a global warming and says that it's a hoax. These are just small things. I hear the educational system is a disaster right now, and something about Oklahoma proposing a bill where you can't graduate unless you join the military or some kind of extracurricular program, which is crazy because that also includes children with disabilities who may not also be able to live up to those standards. And for those of you who are wondering what our president-elect is doing about that, well, his priority right now is focusing on renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. I'm not kidding. That's the truth. That's what he's doing. And he's also pissing off a ton of countries by offering to buy them as property of the United States. Now, for those of you who voted to make America great again, all you did was vote to make America stupid. And I cannot wait to sit here and watch you eat crow. And if you don't believe me that a government run by Republicans is a dictatorship, come back here, or well, you can't, but check in with me on the 19th when TikTok is banned, which is a violation of millions of Americans' First Amendment rights, because the government doesn't want us to have real-time access to real news without it being filtered through their media. Before I go, for those of you who say that I should join Lemon8 or are posting on Lemon8 as a way to have a platform when TikTok goes down, Lemon8 is owned by ByteDance, which will also be at risk for being IP banned in the United States when TikTok goes down. So for those of you who are looking for places to find me after this app goes down, you can find me on Instagram. The link tree is in my bio. And even then, I'm not particularly confident in what will happen to social media under this dictatorship, because all of these social media owners are pandering to the orange one. So for now, you can find me on Instagram. Toodles.
Today is a hard day for many of us. Not because we do not love this country, but because we understand that love without accountability is not love at all. Pride demands greatness. Pride demands effort. Yet too many of us have mistaken nostalgia for greatness and ceremony for sacrifice. Today, as the flags wave and the fireworks burst, let us not confuse symbols with substance. Let us not celebrate America as she is, but recommit ourselves to what she could and should still become. Democracy does not die by decree. It erodes, quietly, vote by vote, court ruling by court ruling, and state by state. A slow corrosion of liberty, a quiet dismantling of freedom. Citizens United did not just alter our elections. It turned our elections into auctions. And the Supreme Court, once entrusted as our last refuge of justice, has too often become the first refuge of power. When the law shields power but abandons the powerless, when voices are muted and rights are stripped away, democracy is not just weakened, it is compromised. But our greatest enemy today is not simply the minority of extremists consolidating their power. It is the silent majority, those frogs in a pot, comfortably waiting as the water starts to boil. Democracy dies not by fire, but by temperature. And too many of us have grown far too comfortable, too distracted, too indifferent, as our democracy quietly evaporates around us. We look to Washington for answers, but the rot began long before it reached the Capitol dome. You do not get a broken federal government without first electing broken leaders to state houses, city councils, and school boards. You do not get a captured court without a culture that no longer demands justice. You do not get laws for the few unless the many stay silent and stay home. We need better laws, but more than that, we need better leaders. Leaders who will choose principle over polls, truth over tweets, and country over comfort. This republic, this fragile experiment, was once offered to us not as a guarantee, but as a challenge, if you can keep it. Keeping it demands more than voting once every 4 years. It demands vigilance. It demands courage. It demands moral clarity. We cannot be a nation of empty slogans. Not when families are silenced at the ballot box. Not when communities bleed for rights that others inherit at birth. Not when courts label corruption as speech and money as belief while labeling peaceful protest as terrorism. Patriotism is not a song. It is not a slogan. Patriotism is sacrifice. It is speaking truth when the truth is unpopular. It's running for office when the odds seem impossible. It is defending democracy not because it's convenient, but because it is right. If we wish to feel pride today, let us first earn it. Do not wave the flag unless you are prepared to carry its burdens. Do not celebrate freedom unless you're committed to extending freedom for all. Do not ask when America will be great again. Ask when we can be brave again. Brave enough to rebuild, brave enough to stand, and brave enough to act. Today, let us reclaim this day, not as a symbol of what we have done, but as a reminder of what we must still do. Our democracy is not yet lost, but saving it is up to us.
I'm embarrassed to be an American. The more I post and the more I talk about my struggles as a a solo struggle mother, because I do have a husband. And I don't just lay down with any man. And because I'm poor, you all assume shit. Like, that's what's embarrassing about this country. The way you all treat your fucking poor. You treat them like absolute fucking garbage and think that they are less than, that they're just a bunch of ratchets that do ratchet shit. And when they get on here and talk about needing help because they're busting their asses at work every day doing the best they fucking can, and it's still not enough to make ends meet, you get on here on your goddamn high horses and want to say, where the fuck's the baby daddy? Or, you got your goddamn hair and nails done. No, the fuck I don't. There are hacks for being poor. You can do shit and still look presentable and not have to pay. I've never had my nails done ever in my life. Not one time. So no. When people say, oh, well, I guess it's time for you to stop getting your hairs and nails done. I guess you knew your husband was running drugs. That ain't even what happened. I've never talked about why my husband's in prison. But you all just make these assumptions and think you know everything. But you don't. And why he's in there, I can't discuss, honey, because it's still in court. So you can't just discuss that shit. So fuck you all for your nastiness. And I'm just so ashamed and embarrassed to be in a country that treats their disabled the way that we do. We give them the bare minimum to survive. And if they do anything to try to get a leg up, where they're not just trapped in poverty, barely making it, they shut them the fuck down and take away their benefits and make them struggle and try to figure it out on their goddamn own. That is disgusting, you all. And then you say, well, they deserve it. They're taking not my tax dollars, not my tax dollars, not my tax dollars. Okay, your tax dollars that no one ever complains about are going to make weapons of mass destruction just to see which country has the bigger goddamn dick. That's nasty and embarrassing. I don't want to be part of that shit no more. I want to leave this country so bad, but I'm a convicted felon. So because there's rules there with that shit, because this country gave me a felony because I was really needed an insanity plea because I hit 5 cars in 10 minutes thinking I was flying from PTSD, not drugs. No drugs were in my system. Honey, I have psychosis. Okay? Didn't get to take the insanity plea because they treat the mentally ill like shit in this country too. This country is a goddamn shit show for how they treat people who actually need compassion, love, and understanding. This country has none of that shit to offer anybody. I hate it. But they want to give all their money and everything else to other countries so they look like they're some big humanitarians. But look at how they treat their own goddamn people. They give us awful, awful products with chemicals in them that they do not give to other countries, only to us. And why would I be proud to be a goddamn American? I will never be proud to be an American. And I will continue to try to get myself the fuck out of this country with my baby and give him some ounce of hope for a real life, because he's disabled with his autism and he has struggles. And I just worry, how is this country going to treat him when he grows up?
What is this picture? What is this? So apparently there's a lot of protests going on down in D.C. right now, saying, of people saying, we won't go back as far as Trump becoming the next president and being sworn in his inauguration today. So I'm going to say, well, this might be why he moved it inside. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is it just comes off as performative, because you can see the skin color of most of the people that were out there. You go on Twitter, you can see plenty of videos. A bunch of white people. And to me, it just comes off as performative, because where were y'all this entire time? Y'all waited till that man won and is about to get inaugurated to finally go out there and quote unquote protest and play like y'all mad and raise a sign. And it's like, it just comes off as performative, because there's no we won't go back. It's y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, we voted how we were supposed to vote. Your fellow brethren didn't. Like, that's why I say stop. Go talk to y'all people. Address y'all's people. Because this shit ain't gonna change nothing. And then after y'all are done with y'all little signs and we won't go back and all your little chants, and after y'all are done, y'all go back and y'all sit back and y'all assimilate back into the system that keeps y'all up. Because all this shit is a waste of fucking time. But I was talking to my partner, right? And we both came to the conclusion that the reason why this is rinse, wash, and repeat with white people is because, so we just spent an entire week and a half, right, looking at other countries, looking at China, looking at Taiwan, Philippines, all these different countries and their quality of life, right, in their developed and major cities comparative to ours. And we see all the amenities, all the social programs, all the infrastructure, all the public transit and amenities. And we're like, why can't we have that? And it literally boils down to, if those countries, despite there might be dibble dabbles of immigrants or people that have come from other countries, but the overwhelming majority is like in China, is Chinese people. They all look alike. It's their people, right? In America, that's not the case. It's a melting pot. There's a bunch of demographics of people, ethnicities, races, everything. But the majority and the power comes from white people. And at the end of the day, they're not going to vote whether they're openly racist or covert racist or just turn a blind eye white person. They're not going to vote for it because it's going to benefit other groups and demographics of people, because they were okay and they wanted these things and they voted in favor of these things like deregulation and public amenities and public services. And they voted for those things before integration. After integration is when they stopped, and then they start trying to funnel those benefits into their communities and keep others out. So like I said before, it simply boils down to white people. It is y'all's fault. We are in the predicament we are, and your country is running into the ground through our billionaire and corporate overlords. And until y'all address y'all's internal or subconscious racism, then nothing will ever fucking happen or change for the benefit of this country, not just white people. Because as long as the man that's being beat down is down, you cannot come up. And until you pay for y'all sins of the past, we will not move forward, and you will continue to be oppressed. Because at the end of the day, y'all are too. Because it's never a left and right, a black and brown. It's class up and down.
They told us we were lucky to be born in the land of freedom, where dreams come true and hard work pays off. But what they didn't say, what they never say, is that luck here feels like surviving a rigged game, like being handed a broken compass and told to find your way. We were raised on slogans. Land of opportunity. Home of the brave. But opportunity here comes with interest rates, and bravery is just another word for desperation. We were taught to believe in the system, to trust the process, to vote, to work, to wait. But the process is a maze, and the system was never built for everyone. It was built to protect the few. You start to notice the cracks, the way your parents age faster than they should, the way your friends disappear into debt, the way your own dreams shrink to fit inside a budget. And you wonder, is this what greatness looks like? You begin to see it clearly. Not just the symptoms, but the design. The way housing is priced like luxury but built like punishment. The way healthcare is marketed like salvation but delivered like roulette. You see how the media spins poverty into personal failure, how politicians weaponize hope every election cycle, only to vanish behind gated communities and corporate donors. You see how middle class is now a myth, how making it means surviving, how success is just exhaustion with a nicer car. And you realize you're not broken. The system is. You're not lazy, you're tired. Tired of being told to bootstrap your way out of a burning building. So you stop apologizing. You stop pretending. You stop smiling through the pain just to make others comfortable. You start asking questions. Why is rent half my income? Why does a hospital visit feel like financial Russian roulette? Why do billionaires pay less tax than teachers? You start talking to friends, to strangers, to anyone who's felt the same quiet rage, the same invisible weight. And you find out you're not alone. There's a movement growing, not in the headlines, but in the hearts of people who've had enough. People who refuse to normalize suffering. People who know that silence is complicity. You become part of it. Not with hashtags, but with truth. Not with blind patriotism, but with radical honesty. Because America doesn't belong to the billionaires. It doesn't belong to the lobbyists. It doesn't belong to the corporations who treat workers like numbers and neighborhoods like investments. America belongs to the people, to the nurses pulling double shifts, to the students drowning in debt, to the parents skipping meals so their kids can eat. America belongs to the ones who see through the illusion, who know that greatness isn't measured in GDP or military budgets, but in dignity, justice, and collective care. So no, we won't say America is great. Not yet. Not while people sleep in tents beside luxury condos. Not while insulin is a luxury and education is a debt sentence. But we will say this: America can be better. If we stop pretending, if we start demanding, if we remember that the power was never theirs, it was always ours.